School. Assalamu alaikum. Islam to all the Moors. Let's get started. Let's pick up where we left off in our last class. We were on page 100 and I think 106, right? Yeah. No, 105. We were talking about Joseph. We're talking about Joseph, give me 1 second. Y'all, I ask that you try to overlook the way I sound. As you can tell, I'm under the weather. So try to overlook it, and hopefully I'll do better very soon. So we left off talking about Joseph and what was happening in the story about the Israelites being in slavery in Egypt. I know from my studies that they were never enslaved in Egypt. Okay, so from my point of view, which may be different from yours, that's a Jeremiah 8:8 occurrence, that whole story of slavery. But anyway, let's pick it up on page 105. And have an open mind as you go through this. Many of you may not have heard this point of view or this perspective before. Okay? So let's continue. We find the Jews, that's a religion, for a long time governed by judges. No, we covered that already. Hold on, scholars. All right, yeah, here we are. Here we are. So we're on page 107. Yeah, 107. I know. Actually, no, we're not. We're on page 109. 109. Y'all like and share the video, okay? If you have also subscribe. There's a lot of people who listen regularly, but you haven't subscribed. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button, all right? So page 109 at the bottom. So let's begin here. Take notice, the famine ceased entirely, immediately. Take notice, the famine ceased entirely, immediately. Pharaoh, through Joseph, had gotten all the money and jewels and cattle and horses and lands and made slaves of the people. So I went into a little bit of detail about what happened there. So as the author brings out in his writings here, corn continued to grow. The corn never stopped growing during the 7 years of plenty and the 7 years of hardship. Corn kept growing. All right? But Joseph bought all of the available supply and then sold back to the people seed, just enough for them to survive. So in effect, or the outcome of that was that the price of corn went up. Y'all see that? This is basic economics, right? High demand, low price, low demand, high price. So Joseph made the people pay high prices until eventually they had no more money, no more gold and silver. They had to start bartering with their jewelry and precious stones. And when that ran out, they had to sell everything they had, and then finally they had to sell their land and themselves. And how did it all happen? Because they trusted Joseph. and they trusted Pharaoh. Let me state it differently. They gave Joseph and Pharaoh full faith and credit, never suspecting that this whole thing was orchestrated. The entire event was orchestrated to steal all the wealth from the people. And they accomplished it through putting themselves in a position as being perceived as two men who were helping the people. But in actuality, they robbed the people. They tricked them and then robbed them, okay? Had no mercy for them, smile in their face, but their entire intent the whole time, was to get their land, all of their wealth, and to put them in slavery, okay? In other words, get free labor for Pharaoh. Accumulate all the wealth and have the people working for free, okay? Now, let's go through this. So what do we learn here? Now, this story is just that, a story. It's not real history. But what do we learn? Religious people will put themselves in position in working with government. And they'll use their position to rob you. And you never suspect it. Why? Because it's religion. Okay? So government and religion in this case work together to rob the people. So let's continue. All right? So Joseph had gotten all the money and jewels, cattle and horses and lands, and made slaves of the people. Also, that not at any time did crops fail when planted. Did y'all hear that? So why were the people being so stupid? Well, they gave full faith and credit, right? And for them, it was a religious thing. According to this story, they trusted Joseph. Joseph was presented to them in the same way, let's say Obama was presented in the news to the masses of people in North America. They gave him like a JFK messianic image. And look at what he did. Right? Look at what he did. How did he benefit you if you are an autochthonous Mormon? I mean, in terms of your everyday living. Now, you have to give him credit. I believe it was him who had the U.S. Become a signatory on the UN document, the rights of indigenous people. So he deserves credit for that. But at the same time, that's good and evil, right? That's the Hermetic Law of polarity. He's going to do evil and then try to neutralize it by doing something good. He's going to harm the people, harm the autochthonous Moors. Y'all following? Y'all see that? So he's using the law of polarity, or the Hermetic Law of opposites, to mitigate or neutralize the harm that he did to the people. That's the way I see it. And I see it like that because the oppressors use natural law against us. All right? And if y'all remember from previous classes, I discussed how they mitigate or minimize their karmic debt by using higher laws against lesser laws. Okay, y'all remember that? Law of polarity, law of opposites, transmutation, neutralization, polarizing. polarizing at whatever node, positive or negative, meaning higher self, lower self, all of that. So that's what he did. That's what they do, okay? And that's what minimizes their karmic debt, okay? Because it's up to you to find out about that document and then use it, right? It's up to you to do it. And of course, the majority of people won't. They're going to be on the suffering end of the stick, right? Okay, so now let's continue. Page 109. Okay, also, that not at any time did crops fail when planted. So they did some heavy duty image marketing for Joseph, right? To get the people to trust him. And also, remember, Joseph was a foreigner. According to the story, Joseph was a foreigner. But that after the first year when the Egyptians were tempted to sell by the prices Pharaoh paid, they were, listen to what the author here, they were foolish enough to strip themselves of their seeds. They sold their seeds, y'all. Now, you know, according to ancient times with the ancient house of Yasharala, they were supposed to keep 10% of their seeds. Yeah, they were supposed to keep 10% of their seeds and then plant them for the next, in the spring, so that they would have crops for the next year. But for some reason, they decided to sell their seeds. Now, when they sold their seeds, that made them totally dependent upon Pharaoh, totally dependent on the government, totally dependent upon Joseph. Y'all see that? For survival. Totally dependent. In other words, Pharaoh had to sell them their seeds back. So why in the world would they sell their seeds? Obviously brainwashed. Obviously brainwashed, right? Doing things that they should have known better. Common sense should have told them to keep their seeds, right? So they don't have to buy them from Pharaoh. But maybe they were looking at it religiously. Maybe they were looking at it nationalistically. They just trusted Pharaoh. Okay? Full faith and credit. And got screwed big time. Full faith and credit, belief made them act against their own will. Not just once, but for a period over time. Right? Okay? Over time they did this. Okay, so the people had to repurchase their seeds at a higher price and then a higher and higher price. Right? The law of the supply and demand curve. Wow, it's been a long time since I thought about that. The supply and the demand curve, okay? And the people were allowed only to plant, and the people were allowed only enough seeds to plant to sustain life. So once Pharaoh got the seed, then he issued laws that you're only allowed to plant so much, just enough to sustain life. Now, what was his rationale? Maybe he convinced the people that if they planted more, the soil would become unproductive. And so they trusted him. Y'all hear me? Maybe that's what he did. Maybe they told the people, if you don't take this jab, you're not going to survive. And they gave him full faith and credit. Y'all hear? Trusting experts, government experts, and religious people. They work together. Don't ever believe that they don't. And don't ever believe that they got your best interest in mind. All right? So Pharaoh through Joseph kept raising the prices and telling the people they could only plant enough for them to survive. All right? But throughout, there was no famine for the priests, only the poor. There was no famine for the priests. The famine was for the poor. The priest's life did not change. Y'all hear that? Why? Because the religion is working in partnership in this story and today with government. So the priest's craft gets taken care of. So we can learn a lot from this story. Exodus XX verse 9. Exodus 29 verse 9, quote unquote. And thou shalt gird them with girdles. Aaron and his sons, this is the priestcraft, and put the bonnets on them. And the priest's office shall be theirs for a perpetual statute. Okay? In other words, the author is saying, we're looking at this literally, not from a religious point of view. The author is saying that Moses hooked his brother up. Moses hooked him up with the priesthood. In other words, they'd always be taken care of. And that's not unusual, right? That's what people will usually do if they have a sibling and they're close, right? Or even a friend and they're close. They're going to hook them up. If they're in position, they're going to hook them up. Now, a lot of you religious people are going to say, oh, the Most High did that. Okay, well, I'm not going to take that away from you. But think about this. Moses gives his brother the priestcraft. So what would we call that today? That's called nepotism, right? That's called nepotism. Would it be lawful today? You get yourself in position and then you hook your brother up where he's going to get free stuff. And all of his sons are going to get free stuff for eternity. No, that wouldn't be lawful today. So looking at this practically, not religiously, looking at it practically, we see some problems, right? We see some problems. Page 110. Y'all imagine, let's say, let's say Obama when he was president. No, let's say Joe Biden. He's president of the U.S. right now, right? Let's say he hooks his brother up with some ambassadorship. And for the rest of his brother's life and all of his sons' lives, they got the hook up. They get free land. They get free food. The people got to give them a tax, right? Every U.S. citizen has to pay them a tax, a 10% tax, a tithe. Y'all see how crazy that sounds? Well, the psychology of men and women doesn't change just because time goes by. Okay, still the same psychology. All right? You just intuitively know that that's wrong. That's an abuse of power. Okay, page 110. The chapter ordains that the chosen pieces of meat and bread and best of everything shall be provided for the priest forever. Forever. The recent famine in Russia offered, now this is 1892, the year this book was published, 1892. Y'all see it? All right, so the famine that occurred somewhere around 1892 in Russia. The recent famine in Russia offers a good example. The priests fed and the people starved. And thus it is in every priest-ridden country, rat-infested country. Y'all see it? The priests perpetuate superstition and ignorance, and with their pretense of being elected by the Almighty and the confessional rule over body, soul, and intellect. Y'all got that? So all of you Hebrew Israelites and Christians who might be thinking, oh, Dr. Yasapa is a blasphemer, or something wrong with me, right? I don't have the Holy Spirit and all of that talk. I want you to consider practically, put the religion away for right now. Put the religion away. Now some of y'all might say, well, we can't do that, right? Which is an excuse not to think. But I understand your point of view, right? You have your whole life, or probably your whole adult life since your 20s, that you've been preaching this stuff. You've been preaching the religion. And it's very difficult for you to look at what you've been doing and teaching and then acknowledge that you were tricked and that you don't know what you think you know. I understand that. Okay, I understand that. But the fact remains, when you look at this practically, the role of priest is to perpetuate religious dogma and superstition. Period. Period. That's the role of the priest. That's the value of the priest. That's why government deals with religion. Period. Okay, to perpetuate ignorance so they can run a scam. Like the scam that Joseph did with Pharaoh to enrich Pharaoh. Okay, y'all? Now, according to my point of view, it's not a real story. Okay? It's not a real story. So let's continue. Y'all hear this music? I don't see what people, that's not music to me. But you imagine what he must be like in his head. You know, if you're listening to that, there's no rhythm or anything to that. But imagine what his psychology must be. All right, y'all. Let's continue. The priests perpetuate superstition and ignorance, and with their pretense of being elected by the Almighty, the people are going to follow them, right? The people will follow them. And the confessional rule over body, soul, and intellect. I'm so tempted to say something to this dude. Let's continue. Jeremiah v:31. Jeremiah 5:31. All right. The prophets prophesy falsely, and the priests bear rule by their means. Hey, yo. I'm teaching a class. Can you turn it down a little bit? Yeah. Thank you. So Jeremiah 5, verse 31. I'm teaching a class. But he already knew that, right? The prophets prophesy falsely. So what is this saying? The prophets are either looking into a liver of an animal, trying to foretell the future. The prophets are praying to an idol, a statue, or even a Raphaim, or a regular man, trying to foretell the future. Or depending on the timing of the story, maybe they're looking at Neanderthal, a hybrid troglodyte, asking him or her about the future. But the prophet is supposed to look at the configuration of the heavenly bodies. Why? Because the heavenly bodies are for signs, seasons, and times, etc., right? But they did not do that. They perverted the science of astrology by looking to these other means, okay? Like a liver, like a Raphaim, like a man, like a hybrid. Okay, y'all see the point here? So they prophesy falsely. And the priests bear rule by their means. So the priests are ruling by these lying prophecies. Okay? And obviously, clearly, the priests got the people away from reading the signs in the heavenly body to know the signs, seasons, and times, and directed them into worshiping external gods. Y'all see it? Everybody see that? Hold up. All right, y'all. Okay, all right. Do my best to get through this. Okay, Jeremiah XX. Let me finish. All right. So, and the priests bear rule by their means. And my people love to have it so. Y'all see that? In other words, there was nobody to correct them and say, hey, wait a minute. You're supposed to be looking at the configuration of the heavenly bodies, okay? And telling us what that configuration means in terms of its magnetic impact, right? On our plans, on our circumstances, on the weather, so on and so forth. You're not supposed to be trying to read the future through a liver, or going and talking to some man or some Raphaim or some hybrid, or praying to some statue, asking them about the future. You're not supposed to do that. See, you're out of harmony with the text and you're out of harmony with nature. Nobody did that. They loved it. It's probably something new, something novel. Okay? And they probably got tricked, fooled into it. In the same way like a magician can create the illusion of an airplane disappearing, or create the illusion of an elephant disappearing, or create the illusion of themselves floating or flying. And the people, oh wow, well that's much better, that's more powerful than what we currently got, which is natural and consistent with nature. So I'm gonna do that because he can fly. Y'all see it? Everybody see it? So they had to have a reason. So Jeremiah XXIX verse 9. So Jeremiah 29 verse 9, quote unquote. For they prophesy falsely unto you in my name. I have not sent them, saith the Lord. Am I? Can I have hot tea, please? Can I have hot tea, please? Hot. Hot. Yes, sir. Okay, yeah. So they're doing this. I don't think I need to comment on that. So let's keep going. So St. John verse 1, St. John 1, verse 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. Now we've already dealt with God. God is the modern spelling of the Germanic deity Odin, Woden, who is said by some, and of course I don't believe this, to be Thoth. Okay, Thoth. Thoth. All right? Or is Sirius the dog star, the constellation? You have a lot of options. You have a lot of options dealing with this injected word God, of who it could be, but what it is definitely not is who you think it is. Thank you. It's not who you think it is, which is the creator of the boundless universe. That's not who God is, okay? No way around it. It's clear as day, okay? I had to get hot tea. I'm supposed to, well, never mind. Let me continue. Hold on. All right, so yeah, let's continue. Okay, so St. John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word. In the beginning was astrology. That's the Word. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. And the Word was God. Huh. St. John chapter 1, verse 2. The same was in the beginning with God. Now, I know y'all are looking at this as the Tetragrammaton and Jesus. But again, the Word is astrology. We went through it already. If you haven't seen that, go back from the beginning of this course and watch all the videos, okay? And then you'll see that. This course is in the title. The name of this course is in the title of this video, okay? So y'all go back to the very first video and watch all the way through till this one. Okay? So, verse 3. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. So this is the personification of natural phenomena. Him, God, that's the personification, or the the anthropomorphication, if that's how to pronounce it right, the personification of natural phenomena, of the heavenly bodies, okay? In other words, all the heavenly bodies remixed into a man or a God, a deity who has a personality and a biography. 4, in him was life, and the life was the light of men. All right? So this is talking about the S-U-N, sun, which is also the S-O-N, sun. So in him, in the sun was life. So the sun facilitates life on planet Earth, period. No sun, everything freezes. No sun, there's no energy for plants. Right? There's no energy for plants. If there's no energy for plants, there's no energy, no food for animals. And if it's cold, well, everything is going to freeze over, right? Without the sun, everything freezes. Nobody can argue that. So we will not be here without the sun. That's the point of this, right? And the life was the light of men. And the life was the light of men. So JC says, I am the truth and the life, right? Some verses says, I am the truth and the light. So when a man has a son, isn't the son, his S-O-N, which is the S-U-N, right? We all have a what? S-O-L, as above, so below, as below, so above. We all have a sun or battery pack that serves the same function that the orb in the sky performs. It keeps us warm, allows us to animate, allows us to execute all the biochemical reactions, right, that could not occur if we're cold. Okay, so when a man has a son, a masculine heir, isn't he said to be the light of his father's world? Okay, y'all see how they're playing words with you? Word games with you? Now, verse 5. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. So what is this? The light shineth in darkness. Well, when the sun goes down to the northern hemisphere in wintertime, in the north, well, the days are ruled by night. The sun is shining, right? But it's still ruled by night. But let's look at it differently. Let's look at it differently. Is there a sun that's emitting energy, or let's say not a sun, but are there stars, or is there a stars that emit energy that our eyes don't perceive? So it appears dark because we don't have the receptors to see that spectrum of light, right? Or what about if we look at this, hold on y'all, look at this in terms of good and evil. Okay, so you have a man or woman who lives in harmony with natural law, who's keeping the Most High's commandments. That's what that means. Okay, so this person is enlightened, right? Sunny, this person is sunny, holy. This person is sonified, right? But the dark priesthood sees that light, but they comprehend it not. Or maybe you see that light, but you comprehend it not. Okay? And so what do? You don't like it. Because maybe you drink all the time, or you're smoking weed or smoking dope all the time. Maybe you're stealing and thinking about how to get over, using people and manipulating people. Okay, maybe you're in your lower self, right? I'm talking to you. Yeah, I'm talking to you, directly to you. But then when a person comes around who's in their higher self, when you see the bright shining light of the Christ, that man or woman in their higher self makes you feel what? Like you got a big light flashing in your eyes. Make you want to turn away. Maybe you don't like that, but you know, it's a good example. Maybe you wake up, everyone has had this experience, right? You're sleeping, and then the sunlight, the sun rises, sun shines, or somebody opens the curtain or the shade, and all that light hits you in the face, right? It's uncomfortable, you wake up, you turn away from it. What's the same concept? It's the same concept. So you wonder why you don't like this person. Or you just don't like them for no reason at all. Well, that's probably why. Right? As it says here, the light shineth in darkness. They're right in your face. The light is shining, and you're the darkness, the lower self, winter solstice. And the darkness comprehended not, and you perceive it not. So what do? So you kill the Christ in your mind. You don't want to hear anything about what they're talking about. You don't want to hear anything about nationality, correct your name. You ain't trying to hear about that. Get out of here. Stuff about nationality. Right? I'm black. I'm Hebrew. I'm Christian. All of this foolishness. Okay? So what did you do? Someone came to you to educate you about your birthright, about keeping the Most High's commandments, living in harmony with nature, and then you killed Christ in your mind, skull place. I ain't trying to hear that. Get out of here. The hell is it more? Y'all see it? Okay, so the darkness comprehended it not. All right? The S-U-N, sun and light are life. And the light of its testimony is hidden to ignorance, as its light is to us in the nighttime. Now you see the role and function of a priest, of the priestcraft. To keep you ignorant, to keep you in darkness so that you will not comprehend the light. And the light is your birthright. The light is nature and natural law. Okay? In religion, it's the sun, the S-O-N, sun, personified as Jesus, as Hercules, as Mithra, so on and so forth. Astrologically, it's the S-U-N, sun, the light of the world, right? The risen Savior. Every time the sun rises, about 5:30 in the morning, we get warm, right? The storms settle down, go away, and we have another day to look forward to. So yes, the sun is our risen Savior. Y'all see it? But the priestcraft wants to keep you a bondman and a bondwoman, wants to keep you thinking that you are a sinner, a debtor, and that you need this mediator, Mercury, a Jesus, who is Mercury, who is Hercules, etc., to pay your debt on your behalf. And they're the middleman. And you need to trust and rely on them. In other words, you need to give them full faith and credit. And you need to operate on a belief system. Even though it's out of harmony with nature. They want you to sell all your seeds. Don't keep any. Don't keep that 10%. So you'll have sufficient number of seeds to plant for the next season. No. They don't want you thinking, using your common sense. Okay, this is the function of the priestcraft. They want you to accept religion, being a debtor. They want you to accept the commercial system where you are a debtor and they're always on top, smooth sailing, while you get to struggle. Okay, y'all? So now let's continue. From everlasting to everlasting, God's word or testimony has been written down in lines of light. Angles of light, lines of light. Angles of light, angles of light. They have been written down in lines of light. Let me state it differently. The light obviously is energy, and there's information encoded or embedded in that energy. Just like Wi-Fi. Just like Wi-Fi, right? There's information encoded in that energy. And through your desktop, laptop, tablet, mobile phone, you're able to harness that energy, and then your processor on your device processes that energy that's encoded with information, and it presents to you a music video, a documentary, a movie, a PDF file, a MP4, MP3 file, okay, a Word file. Y'all see it? Well, this is the same thing. Every hour of every day, the light rays are coming in at a different angle, okay? And these lines of light, these angles, these angels have energy encoded and embedded in them. So the prophet or the prophetess has the knowledge, the know-how, and technical skill through education and training to be able to process the configuration of the heavenly bodies and present to you their meaning, or present to you the MP3 file, the MP4 file, the movie. Y'all heard? And that's what's happening. All right? So this involves election astrology. Like I've been telling y'all, I'm going to do the video. If y'all want to participate in that, reach out to me at yasapa@zionlawschool.org. Also, planetary hours and determining the length of planetary hours. So we're going to go over this science and then how to use it. Okay, how to use it. All right? So this is what the author is talking about. Nothing to do with devils, demons, witches, and wizards, and all kind of incredible, fantastic stuff. Nothing to do with that at all. This is a hidden science. As the book says, the astrology, the title of the book, the astrology of the Old Testament, or the lost word regained. The lost word regained. Okay? Astrology. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay? Did I tell you about a Hebrew Israelite who got mad at me because I'm teaching what I'm teaching? Called me a liar. All kind of crazy stuff. I suspect that he may not be all the way there mentally. You know what I mean? I had to block the dude. So if y'all undergoing cognitive dissonance and you're mad at me, don't call me, okay? Deal with it yourself, and then once you come to terms with it or you settle down, then we can talk, all right? But don't call me yelling and screaming, accusing me of this and that. I'm not hearing it, all right? I don't want to hear it. I'm not interested. But I do realize that, you know, this information that I'm presenting makes it very difficult for religious people. Okay, it makes it very difficult for religious people. All right, so let's continue. Quote unquote, ask and ye shall receive, seek and ye shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto you. For he that dwelleth between the cherubim, we went through that last class and in many other classes, right? We have the Ta, the Phoenician Canaanite Ta, the last letter of the Phoenician Canaanite script or the ancient Ibaryath script. And then there's the Tau, which is the Greek equivalent of our Ta. All right. So if y'all want to know more about the alphabet of ancient Ibaryath or Phoenician Canaanite, it's the same thing. Click the link. I have a book. It's called 911 Ibaryath Rescue. 911 Ibaryath Rescue. It's a purple book. Buy it on Amazon. Don't buy it on my website because I can't process orders right now. I'm locked out of my website. So buy it on Amazon and you can learn about all of the pictographs. Okay, it's a good study. Also subscribe to 101 Ancient Ibaryath. The link is in the description area of this video. It's a streaming course. It's a streaming course, so you can, it's available 24/7. It's going to give you much more information than what you get in the book. Okay, the book is good. Well, get the book and you'll see why it's good. All right, I don't have a lot of time. I need to keep it moving. So now it continues. For he that dwelleth between the cherubim, quote unquote, have made his ministers a flaming fire. The stars are fire, right? He's made his ministers a flaming fire. Okay? So the angels, the little baby angels and all of that, that's a remix of natural phenomena. Those are the rays of light emitted from the stars. Okay? So Psalms XIX, verse 3, Psalms 19, verse 3, quote unquote, there is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. In other words, the electromagnetism emitted from the heavenly bodies affects every creature that has speech or language, regardless of where you're at on the planet. Verse 4, their line, the sun rays, their line is gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world, to the end of the universe. Okay? What words? And their words, the information encoded on those rays of light, encoded in that energy. All right? In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun. Tabernacle, is he talking about the Maserat, the Zodiac rather, the Zodiac signs? Okay, y'all, page 111. If you would read more of prophets and priests, mediums and magnetism, curing by the laying on of hands, nobody can deny that. Prophets and priests cured people by laying their hands on them. Okay, if you would read more of prophets and priests, mediums and magnetism, read more, educate yourself. Curing by the laying on of hands, you will find the books of Moses, Isaiah, the New Testament, the Apocryphal, and the Apocrypha rather, full of such matters, accounts of miraculous things, all of which have long ceased to be miracles to this age of science and research. That's in 1892. Now, y'all listen. Listen to this. Some company makes a drug, goes through the whole process, makes a drug. And the drug is healing some people, right? Where did they get the molecule that they modified? It's almost always coming from plants. Almost always coming from plants. Or let me rephrase that, coming from living things. Coming from living things. Okay, so why is it that you can accept that, ignoring all of the people that it gave symptoms to, new symptoms rather, and all of the people who may have died or it didn't help at all? You're not thinking about all the people who died from getting this drug or the wrong dosage. Y'all see it? Who were missubscribed and expired, or the drug didn't help them at all. You're not thinking about that. What are you thinking about? Oh, I saw the commercial, or my doctor recommended this. You're just like those ancient farmers that we read about. You don't know anything. You're just accepting what the expert or who you perceive as being an expert from TV, you don't know anything about your doctor. You know anything, but you perceive that they're an expert and they have your best interest in mind. Now, I've seen on YouTube, I don't know if it's true, where the quote-unquote black woman giving birth in the U.S., I don't know if this is true, y'all can tell me if this is true, but I've seen this on YouTube, are having very negative outcomes. But yet y'all trust and y'all keep doing it. Okay? But here we see, through the use of magnetism or vibration, these prophets, priests, and prophetess and mediums heal people. But y'all laugh at it and scorn at it today. Why? Because you don't know anything about it. You don't know anything about modern medicine. In fact, you don't know anything about anything, whether you want to admit that or not. So that you scoff and scorn over something that you don't know anything about. You're no different than those farmers, as I said, who gave full faith and credit to Pharaoh and Joseph, and in the end paid with their liberty and freedom, okay? And all of their earthly possessions, okay? So you pay with your health, and your offspring and heirs, they may have to pay because you might expire, right? Or your life may be changed forever, and now they have to provide for you. Okay, so let's continue. It says here, page 111, all of which have long ceased to be miracles, that's healing people by touching them, laying on other hands, to this age of science and research. You will even find accounts of relics and bones of the saints, ones performing miracles, just as the claim is today by priestcraft. Of these things I have but little to say. Science and study of natural laws, science and study of natural laws and forces will eventually explain away all mysteries. In fact, one of the Hermetic Laws, so I'm going to paraphrase it. What's the law? It says something like, it'll come to me, y'all. It says something like, I can't remember. I don't remember the words right. I don't want to say I can't remember. It says something like this. Probability, things that seem probable that we can't explain are really just events, and we don't understand how the laws work that led to that outcome. You know, I should remember that. So I got to go back and review the Hermetic Laws, because that's one of those expressions that I should have at the top of my mind. But that's the point. It's not that it's random, okay? It's just that we don't understand all of the laws and how they interact and work together to produce that outcome, okay? This is what the author is saying. Science and the study of natural laws and forces will eventually explain away all mystery. That's what he's talking about, okay? And astrology will again reign supreme as of old. For that which has been shall be. Now y'all know the dark priesthood and the governments, they're using astrology, okay? And it got out during the Reagan administration, right? There is nothing so perfect as the movement of the SUN sun and his government of our solar system under the great author of all things. AUM, this is a solar deity. Sol, Latin for sun. Is it Sanskrit, y'all? Sanskrit or Hindu for sun. And then on, which is the Egyptian word or Hermetic word for sun. Sol, An. Okay, Psalms X, IX, Psalms 19, verse 7, quote unquote. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul, S-O-U-L. So you know S-O-U-L is a remix, okay? S-O-U-L is the S-O-L in Latin. Hold on, y'all. The Catholic Church created that concept. Remember we discussed that? The battery pack, S-O-L, and then they slapped a U in there, bam, and said you got a soul. And then they charged you. They monetized it. Okay, so now we're telling you, because we are the priestcraft, that you got a soul. Don't worry about what you think. Don't worry about what anybody else told you in the past. You got a soul. And now you need to protect that soul. You need to be concerned about your soul. That needs to be the number one concern in your life, right? And if you need to pay to get out of purgatory, or if you need to donate your time, preaching and teaching, which is something I did for a long time, no compensation. Then that's what you do to save your soul. Okay? Don't ask no questions. And then that's what you do. All right, y'all? And that's religion. That's religion. You need to accept it. And what you don't understand, you need to accept that it's not your time to understand it. And follow the priestcraft. Islam to all the Moors, Shalom, I self-law am master. Assalamu alaikum. Thank y'all for being here with me. I'll be back in a couple hours. Hopefully I'll feel better. So I'll be back in I'll be back in about 3 hours or so. And then we're gonna make it do what it do. All right? So y'all make sure y'all go out, educate yourself, buy my books, the Ancient Ibaryath books. Animals in the Bible, that's my favorite book. I had the most fun writing and publishing that book. Animals in the Bible, it's only like $10. And it's full color. And it's a good teaching tool for babies, children, and adults. But anyway, subscribe to 101 Ancient Ibaryath. Y'all show up on Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the 506 The Curses course that I teach. We do a deep dive from a literal, analytical point of view of Deuteronomy chapter 28. No religion. It doesn't deal with any religious doctrine. And you'll be able to get to see a lot of what I talk about in these videos about astrology, the Hermetic Laws, and constitutional principles. You'll get to see how you've been lied to, Jeremiah 8:8, and you'll also learn how to be a Bible translator, an Old Testament or Ancient Ibaryath, Phoenician Canaanite Bible translator. All right, so I'll see y'all in a couple hours. Oh, by the way, if you want to support my project to write the Book of the Law in modern English and Ancient Ibaryath, where you'll be able to see the astrology, astronomy, Hermetic Laws, constitutional principles, you'll be able to see it with your own eyes. You'll be able to see the Ancient Ibaryath word or the Ancient Phoenician Canaanite word. You'll see the etymological meanings from multiple sources, from lexicons, and I use the KJV and an academic standard, so we can do comparative analysis. But we do this in class. This is like very basic because we do it in class. But anyway, y'all, if y'all look at my books, I have links in the description area, and you'll get an idea of the content and its format. It won't be exactly like that, but it'll be similar. Okay, y'all? And make sure, those of you all want to support that project, my PayPal is in the description area of this video. It's paypal.me/Zion Law School, so you can donate there, or you can donate on my website, zionlawschool.org, or you can donate on Patreon. Actually, I prefer Patreon. If y'all want to donate, you can donate on Patreon. All right? So, assalamu alaikum, Islam to all the Moors, and shalom.